Hey folks, how's it going? Happy Thursday to everyone. I'm popping in this afternoon to answer a question that has been coming up in 70% of the surveys we've been running. So, for about the last 2 or 3 months, we've had a short little survey on one of our opt in forms, and we've asked, what is your biggest question about winning corporate clients if you're an expert? So maybe you're a consultant, a leadership or executive coach, a trainer, a speaker, a service provider, or some other type of expert. So what's your biggest question? And this question's always come up since the beginning of time, since we started this company back in 2009, 10, depending on how you want to count it. And it's always been an interesting question, but it's coming up 70% of the time. So I thought I better answer this question. And that is, how do I get visibility? How do I get in front of corporate decision makers, my ideal target clients? How do I get visibility with them? And I want to answer this question, and I'm going to answer it just straight up. I'm going to tell you, but then I want to talk about the much more important questions that you need to be asking. Because the truth is that getting in front of corporate decision makers is the easiest part of getting corporate clients for your expert based business. That's actually the easy part. And it's everything that comes after that that determines whether or not you will have a full dance card when it comes to the clients that you are serving. So we're going to get into that. If you're here with us, feel free to drop me a note and let me know what your business is. Let me know where you're joining us from. But let's really get down to business on this question of how do you get in front of corporate decision makers? And that is the first riddle. That is the first challenge you have to solve. The name of the game today is about engagement. It's not about visibility. It's about engagement. So I want you to stop thinking, how do I get visibility in front of decision makers? And I want you to instead think, how do I engage with corporate decision makers? Because see, if you're in an engagement experience with them, then you're really owning the mind share and getting some, I can't even call it undivided attention, because no matter where we are, our phones are buzzing and going off and our desks are cluttered. But when you're in an engagement experience, you're getting the mind share, and you're getting at least 50% of their attention, which is nowadays almost the most you can ask for, right? So there are three powerful strategies that are engagement strategies to get in front of your ideal target decision makers inside of corporate. And with all three of these buckets that I'm going to give you, you can either get these opportunities from some good old-fashioned elbow grease, or you can pay to play. So the cheapest way to pay for anything is with money. And the most expensive way to pay for anything is with the minutes of your life. So you can choose either path, but you can do it with some elbow grease, or you can pay to play with all three of these buckets of engagement strategies. The first and the best one is speaking at industry conferences. Now, notice I'm saying industry conferences, and that's really important. Where you're going to get those quality decision makers is at those conferences for the manufacturing industry, the pharma industry, the commercial real estate industry, the healthcare industry, the retail industry, the clothing industry, consumer products, consumer electronics, automotive. Those conferences that are really industry specific are the creme de la creme of speaking opportunities. And that's really where you're going to get the highest quality decision makers. I recommend to our clients that they not worry about the keynote. By design, keynotes tend to be very visionary, motivational, inspirational, which is wonderful. But where you really get to build a business case for why an organization needs to take a different approach in solving a business challenge, ergo, why they need you, is in a breakout or plenary session. that's really where you have the time to take a business challenge, an acute business challenge, and do all the things that are necessary in order to move those attendees into a one-to-one conversation with you, which is where things get really interesting. And that's really where Bold House that's really our secret sauce, is not just getting people visibility, but really understanding how to take that visibility and move it into one-on-one conversations. So when it comes to speaking, you have to do certain things in those talks in order to create the right context and compel those attendees to really want to have a one-to-one conversation with you. But speaking, industry conferences, breakout, plenary sessions, without question, is the best way in order to get to those decision makers. And a reminder for our Bold House Collective members, because I know a lot of you are connected to me here on LinkedIn, a reminder that we have a relatively new training on that in the vault for you guys. So if you're still looking for those speaking opportunities and exactly how to narrow them down and how to find them, we did that. It's in the vault. It's in your speaking module. The second best way to get in front of decision makers is to create small room opportunities. You know the expression, big thinkers meet in small rooms? Well, that has been true in the corporate space dating back pretty much forever. So small room opportunities look like executive roundtables, executive forums, power breakfasts, power lunches, or other formats where you are pooling leaders together in a small room. Now, these can, by the way, be via Zoom or Google Meets, or they can be physically in person. And again, these can be ones that you fill yourself or that you partner with a center of influence because they also want to get those folks. We have a lot of clients who've gone through our Proximity to Profits program who then use all the templates in there in order to connect with law firms, economic development councils, technology councils, local chambers, CPA firms, accounting firms, firms that really are looking for a way to bring more value add to their community. And so you can create those small room experiences on your own. You can create those small room experiences with centers of influence, or you can pay to play where you partner with, say, an industry association and they fill these, let's say, executive roundtable or the executive forum, and you are the expert who leads that. So that's really the second bucket of the best way to get in front of decision makers. And if you're looking for some help with that, you can stop by the Bold House website. We have an amazing program called Proximity to Profits, which is all about executive roundtables and power breakfasts. And then the third bucket that is from an engagement perspective that still works really well, less than the other two buckets that I just gave you, but is still incredibly effective, is old school webinars. Now, I don't care if it's on the old like GoToMeeting or if it's on Zoom. Hopefully you're on Zoom for more interactivity. But the more traditional sense of webinars is a really effective way still today to get in front of corporate decision makers, so long as you make it engaging and interactive and you're bringing something really fresh to the table. Now, next week, I'm going to talk about the number one mistake that folks are making when it comes to their marketing and their topics that they're choosing. And I'm just going to take that head on next week. But for today, just let's stay focused on the best way to create engagement with these corporate decision makers. So bucket number one, speaking at industry events. Bucket number two, small room experiences. Bucket number three, more traditional webinars, either ones that you conduct on your own or ones that you partner with a center of influence or an industry association to deliver. Those are the three best ways. Now, what I will say about the middle bucket of those small room experiences is you can be as creative and innovative as you want about how you structure that. Back in the day when I was in the defense industry, we once rented out an old mansion that overlooked some water, and we actually brought in some really cool equipment and we brought in a couple of sports cars and things of that nature. And we had both an executive briefing and an opportunity to check out these awesome cars. Now, we had the budget to do that, but that's an example of something that can be more innovative, but is still an invite-only small room experience. You can really have some fun with that middle bucket. We have a lot of our clients doing that right now. So those are your three buckets, right? So you've got speaking in industry conferences, number one. Number two, your small room experiences, again, that you do on your own or that you partner with others, or you pay to play, you buy the breakout session. session as a sponsorship at a conference, or 3 webinars. Again, you do them on your own. You partner with a center of influence, or you pay to play. You buy a sponsored webinar through an industry association. That's really the key universe. If you want engagement with decision makers, that's the universe. Now, imagine we just kind of draw a line under those 3 things. And now we talk about, well, what about all the other stuff, Angelique? What about podcasts? What about media? What about social media videos? What about my blog? What about my website? What about content marketing? What about those things? Well, all of those other things are great, but all of those things should drive your audience to one of the above the line engagement experiences that I just talked about. You've got content on your website. You've got a blog on your website. You've got a free report or insights paper or white paper on your website. Awesome. But then that insights paper should drive people to an engagement experience with you. You have a call to action at the end of a video like this one on LinkedIn, or an article on LinkedIn. Awesome. Drive those leaders to an engagement experience with you. You're speaking on a podcast. Awesome. You're going to be on a panel discussion. Awesome. Drive the audience to an engagement experience with you. Everybody talks about online marketing funnels. This is the funnel for corporate. The funnel for corporate is to use every available marketing channel in order to drive as many people to an engagement experience with you as possible. And that goes for cold email outreach. That goes for LinkedIn outreach. Here's a stunning statistic. We had a client a few years ago who invested in a LinkedIn prospecting company that sent thousands of prospecting emails via LinkedIn to their ideal prospects. They conducted over 800 sales meetings and had 0 clients at the end of it. And that was because the engagement piece and all the other steps that need to happen were completely skipped. So not only was this expert out an entire year and a lot of money working with this company and all of their time having these conversations that went nowhere, but they weren't able to do the more important things. So getting the visibility is actually pretty easy. Where folks fall down in being able to convert that visibility, or that ideally engagement, into an opportunity for their expert-based business, is because they don't create the right business case for their expertise and their services in the opportunity, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a speaking opportunity, a webinar, a roundtable. I don't care what it is. We're really, one of the things about us at Bold House is we're tactic agnostic, if that makes sense. You know, the problem if you talk to a LinkedIn prospecting company is they're going to tell you, oh, you have to do LinkedIn prospecting. If you talk to an expert in webinars, they're going to tell you have to do webinars. If you talk to somebody who's a podcast expert, you got to do podcast. If you talk to the book expert, you got to do a book. If you talk to the speaking expert, you got to speak. You know, so everybody's sort of pushing their tactic. We're very tactic agnostic at Bold House, but we are strategy specific. And the strategy is create the engagement. And then within that opportunity of having engagement with your target audience, build the right business case, then move from building the right business case to creating a compelling call to action that gives the decision makers a reason to meet with you when they don't perceive themselves as being in a ready now place to buy from you. At any given time, only about 1% of your ideal target decision makers are in a ready now place to buy from you. So if you don't give them a compelling reason to move from seeing you speak somewhere, seeing you on a webinar somewhere, attending an executive roundtable with you, doing a power breakfast, whatever the engagement is, if you don't give them a compelling reason to meet with you, then they don't see a need to meet with you because they don't consider themselves ready now to buy from you. So that's part of our magic sauce. That's why when we're working with people in our corporate client cash flow program, one of the biggest issues we have to deal with is let's give them a compelling reason to meet with you. Then your next question needs to be that you should be asking yourself, not just what is that business case that I need to create for them? What is the compelling way that I can get them to want to meet with me? And then when they do meet with me, what the heck should I do in that 45 minutes or 60 minutes, that precious time that I get with them? What is it that I need to do in that meeting? And those are the things that's really been how we're helping our clients and why they're crushing it, because it's answering those questions. I've just told you it's a not so secret way to get in front of the decision makers. I don't care what other stuff you've got going on. All of those things, cold prospecting, LinkedIn prospecting, networking, strategic introductions, your book, your white papers, your videos, your TikToks, everything needs to lead to those engagement experiences. Create the right context, give them a compelling reason to meet with you. And then when you get those bites at the apple, to have a meeting. Because remember, as hard as it is to get a decision maker to meet with you the first time, it's even harder to get them to meet with you a second time if you don't come to that meeting and blow their socks off with value of them feeling like, wow, that was a really great use of 45 minutes of my time when I am completely slammed at work and I'm completely burned out. But man, I am so glad I met with Angelique today. That was worth it. Wow. That's how you want a decision maker to leave a meeting with you. So from my perspective, we're largely tactic agnostic around here. It's about the engagement. It's about creating that compelling business case for why they need to take different action than they are right now. It's about moving them into that one-to-one conversation with you. And then it's about making sure you show up to that conversation completely prepared and knowing exactly how to handle it. One of our clients recently left us a voicemail and shared with us that her new prospects have been complimenting her on how she's handling the meetings with her. They're asking, how did you learn how to have a meeting with us this way? This has been so valuable. This has been so clear. You've made this so easy for us. And it's because of our proprietary formula of how we structure those conversations so that you never feel like you are selling. And that's really important. I was a decision maker in corporate and I sat through a lot of awful sales pitches, and I never want another decision maker to have to do that. And the last thing I want is you as an expert who is there to really support these folks being in a place where you need to sell to them. So there you go. What we've just covered are the 3 best ways, bar none, undisputed, on how to create engagement with real decision makers and how to use all the other channels of marketing that you're using the best way possible, which is to use those channels to drive those ideal target clients to those 3 types of engagement experiences with you. So if you joined us late, no worries. The replay of this will be on LinkedIn in just a few minutes. I encourage you to go back if you're looking for those corporate decision makers, you're looking to bring more of them into your business, then go back and take a look at this from the beginning. And I will be back here next week talking about the biggest mistake folks are making right now in their marketing, in their messaging, and in their content that are really costing them big bucks. So I will see you guys back here next week. Be sure to leave me a comment or question below, and I'll take those next week as well, you guys. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.